Mandy, do you have your bit? Do you have slides first?
I do, yeah. Are
Should
you
I-
able to see my screen?
Let me stop share. There we go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Good morning and welcome to today's Wyoming Community Navigator Program webinar. My name is Mandy Bailey and I'm the Advising and Education Director for the Wyoming Community Navigator Program. I'm going to be your facilitator today, working behind the scenes. So if we run into any technical difficulties or questions, I'll resolve them as best as I can. Just to give you a little bit of information about the Wyoming Community Navigator Program. We are funded through the U.S. Small Business Administration, and we utilize Wyoming's Entrepreneurial Support Network to reduce barriers that all small businesses often face, including those owned by groups such as veteran, women, and those from rural communities and communities of color. We do this through a hub and spoke model to pursue our goals. Through our collective efforts, the hub and the spokes provide training, mentorship, access to capital, and access to other resources to help small business owners build resiliency and ultimately be the driving force behind Wyoming's economic recovery. Today, we are going to hear from Liz Jamison. We're going to talk about Squarespace 101. Make sure you monitor the chat. We'll be dropping in some helpful links and resources in the chat. Just to give you a little bit of information about Liz, Liz has owned a website design and development firm for many years, where she began to coach entrepreneurs in branding, sales, and marketing. And there she worked on the online presence, collateral, and copy for over 100 different small businesses. So with that brief introduction, I'm going to hand it over to you, Liz.
Thank you so much, Mandy. Thanks for having me today. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you all today. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my slides here. All right. So welcome. Thanks for carving out the time to come to this training. Hopefully it will really support you. If you have a site on Squarespace or you want to have a site on Squarespace, you're planning to build one, then this could be a great resource for you. And just a contextual piece here. Rather than going back and forth between my slides and actual Squarespace live, looking at the platform itself, I decided to just to avoid, giving you whiplash, going back and forth. I decided to go through the slide deck first, right, and give you all the information. And then we will go over to Squarespace Live, and I'll show you some of the same things that we've been talking about in the platform itself. And then we will send out the PDF of the slide deck to you after this training so that you can refer back to these slides. Some of them are a resource for you in that they are just the step-by-step how-tos of doing some different tasks, common tasks that folks need to get done in Squarespace and sometimes can't find, where to do the thing they're trying to do. So you'll have that resource to come back to. All right, so those are the contextual pieces. If you like, type your name and business name, where you're logging in from, into the chat. That'd be great. We can meet each other a little bit, see where you're coming from. And just want to acknowledge you for showing up today. Yeah, not everybody did, obviously, and even of those who registered, not everybody did. So just appreciating that you took the time to attend today, to learn something new. Hopefully you'll have some gold nuggets here that'll really help you moving forward with your Squarespace website. So to the degree you can, focus, that'd be great. You'll create more value for yourself, engage in the conversation. You can certainly type questions into the Q&A throughout, and we'll get to know each other via the chat as well here. All right. Let's see if I missed a slide here. No, okay. So I'm Liz Jamison. I'm a certified business advisor and a certified global business professional. My master's is in educational leadership, and my background as an entrepreneur is that I owned a website design and development firm for many years. And so I have helped people with branding, marketing. I'm strong in all things marketing, e-com, social media, I'm basically a technical marketing geek. I geek out on all of this and really enjoy it. And I hope that I try to use my life, my career, to empower entrepreneurs. For me, that's the biggest difference that I can make using my life energy, right? Would be to empower you to fulfill on your own life purpose through the vehicle of entrepreneurship. So that's my goal here with today's training and with all the trainings that I do. A little shout out to SBDCs. The Wyoming SBDC is a great resource for you if you're not already plugged in. I hope you do get plugged in. And I just included this slide so you can see a few of the different kinds of things that SBDC could help you with. Yeah, financial checkups, improving sales, marketing strategy and techniques, cash flow, loan packaging, human resources issues like recruitment and management, and so on. Yeah, and even the purchase or sale of a business and international trade. So hope that gives you some good ideas as far as what you might use your SBDC person for. And SBDC provides confidential one-on-one, no cost business advising services and lots of trainings similar to this. All right, so let's jump into the content for today. The idea here is to get you more familiar with some of the main aspects of using Squarespace so that, again, if you have a Squarespace site, you can more easily administer it, make changes to it. And if you are planning to set up a Squarespace site, that you can get familiar with some of these basic functions that a lot of people ask about in advising. So we'll look at how to register your domain name or transfer a domain name through Squarespace, where you do that, how to choose a template for your site. We'll look at building a page or adding a page to your site, how to edit a page, and if you want to change the navigation, like for instance, to make a sub page, we'll look at that. And the SEO, where you do the SEO settings. When I say SEO, I mean search engine optimization, right? Where you set up the SEO for the whole site as a whole, right? And where you do the SEO settings for each individual page of your website. We'll also talk about how to connect your merchant processing account to Squarespace. Squarespace can work with Stripe, Square, or PayPal. So those are the three merchant processors that integrate with Squarespace, and we'll show you where to integrate those. And then a couple great resources on the slides here will be the Squarespace live chat link, right? Sometimes it's a little hard to find on the Squarespace site, but they do have a great live chat service for support. And they also have a support email that you can use. So I've included that information here, so it'd be just easy for you to find and utilize. Okay, so one of the reasons I really like Squarespace as a web platform is because it's a bit more user-friendly than a lot of other platforms. If you're not a techie person, you don't have to know any programming. You can learn Squarespace and either build or update your own website. Also, Squarespace websites for people who are DIYing it, they come out much more slick, professional looking, not homemade looking, right? And so I like that about them too. There are hundreds of templates in Squarespace. Some are free, some are for a fee, but these are web pages that are actually laid out for you. So the graphic design is already done for you, right? And there might be several different styles of pages within each individual template within Squarespace. So we'll look at what some of those templates are. They're grouped by industry or product type. And so you can choose a template that's already designed for the kind of business that you have. If you have a service business or a retail business, or let's say you're a photographer and you need to have a portfolio type website, Squarespace has templates to address all those different needs. So you can choose one that's already in the right ballpark for what you need. And then you can customize each of those templates, and you would just change out, let's say, the colors to your brand colors. You can add your own images, your own headlines and copy, and so on. But the graphic design part is done for you in that how things are arranged on the page and what's included in each page. You know, the different elements are already there for you. Let's see, as I mentioned, Stripe, Square, and PayPal can do credit card processing with a Squarespace website. Squarespace does also charge you a fee, though, by the way. So you pay a little bit more for merchant processing when you have a Squarespace website and you're doing e-commerce, because you're paying both your merchant processor and Squarespace itself. But still, it's great for, let's say, informational brochure type websites. And it's also great for, let's say, smaller e-com operations where you might have, you know, let's say less than 100 products, 10, 20, 30 products, something like that. It's a great platform for that. Yeah. It's also a Google-friendly platform to use, and again, easy to administer. Also, it updates itself. You know, if you think of other web platforms like WordPress, for instance, you know, you have to go in and update your version of WordPress. You have to go in and update the plugins in WordPress and so on. So that is more maintenance that has to be done if you are managing your website. With Squarespace, it does all of that automatically. So you're not having to worry about updating, you know, what version of Squarespace am I in or something like that. And with Squarespace, you're building your website inside their technology, right? So it's not a kind of website that you can take with you and go to another hosting service or another platform. You're actually building it inside their software. And it's about $150 a year to host your site on Squarespace. So just to give you an idea of costs there too. So some types of websites you can transfer, right? You could take all your files with you and go to a different platform. But other types of sites like Squarespace and also Shopify, you're building your site right within their technology. So you cannot take it off platform and without redoing the whole site. So just a note there, if you're considering Squarespace, so you know. Here are some things to think about as you are planning your site, you know, and this is, I think, one of the most common mistakes in marketing overall, right? We don't clarify the purpose of the marketing piece, right? The purpose of the flyer or the purpose of our ad, or, you know, what is the action we want people to take? So when you're considering building your website, consider what is the purpose of the site? What do I want it to do for me? What do I want visitors to do when they come to the page or the site overall, right? Those elements are things that will guide how the site is designed and what goes on each page. Every element that's within your website should support the purpose of the site itself, right? We don't want to have a lot of, I call it whiz bang, right? Different things you can do, you can have on a web page. Just because you can have them doesn't mean you want to have them, right? It depends on whether they support the purpose of that page or not. Do those elements support people taking the action you want them to take when they come to the page or not? Yeah. So you might also consider what background color do I want to use? Will people be printing out the pages of my site? If so, I might want a light or white background and dark text. If it's unlikely people will be printing out the pages of my site, that might not matter, and I could have a darker background and lighter text. In either case, though, I want to have a high contrast between my background color and my text, right? And that way it makes my text easy to read. If the background color, or let's say a background image, if the colors are too close to the text color, then it makes the text really hard to read. I'm sure you've seen that, right? You can reference your own experience in that. Also consider your logo. Yeah. Will your logo look okay on the background color you've chosen for your site? You might have a version of your logo that's on a dark background and a version of your logo that's on a white or a light background. It's useful to have a couple different versions like that so that you can use your logo in different contexts. And of course, your logo has to look good at lots of different sizes, right? That's one of the things I like to remind people about. Because when we see your logo, when we're looking at your website on our phone and the logo is tiny, right? If it's too busy and there's a lot going on there, we will not distinguish the important elements or what's going on there when we look at it at that small size. So the logo has to look good, from your signage and your billboard to your business card and your website when we're viewing it on a phone. So from tiny to quite large. Yeah. We want it to be clear and clean. Yeah. And so let's see. We also want to consider, again, text, that our text color pops off the background because there's enough contrast. We also want to make sure the buttons have enough contrast with the background color, right? So these are some general web planning points here that these would apply across all platforms. My button colors should be highly contrasting with my background, and my text on the button should be highly contrasting with the button color itself, right? That way the button pops on the page visually and the text on the button pops off the button, right? And is easily readable and draws attention. Yeah, this will help you increase conversions on your website. Conversions can be all different kinds of events. You'll want to distinguish what kind of conversions you are looking for when people come to your website, right? So it could be they buy something. That could be the conversion you're looking for if you're doing e-commerce. It could be that you want them to give you their email address and you're offering them a lead magnet, right? A downloadable document with some valuable tips, something that'd be of interest to your prospect, that they'd be willing to give you their email address and agree to have you marketing to them in exchange for that lead magnet, some document that you make of value to them or of interest to them. Yeah. All right. So some good contextual pieces there. Here are some common purposes that people might create for their website. Maybe it's a credibility piece and it's just establish your expert credibility. Maybe it's a brochure type website and it's informational, or maybe it's both of those things. Maybe you're using it to build your list or capture leads, build your email list. Maybe you're using it to actually have sales occur. And maybe you're using it for some other things as well. So just clarify for yourself, what is it that you want the site to do for you? What is its function? And you can even assign, let's say, some numbers to it. If you're doing e-commerce, you can say, oh, okay, here's what % of my overall sales I would like to have coming from e-commerce. Yeah, so you can break out your revenue goals that way too. So as you go to plan your website, consider what do you want the site architecture to be? That means what are the specific pages you want to have within the site? And what is the relationship of the pages to each other? Yeah, what pages do you need to have to support the purpose of the site? You can also consider that, as we look at websites, we're reading left to right and we're reading top to bottom. So we kind of scan top left, across and down, right? Across to the right and down as we are reading. So our very best real estate on our webpage is the top left. That's why most people put their logo there in the top left, right? And then we want to break up our text into scannable chunks, right? It used to be that we had these big old long prose kind of web pages. Not anymore, right? Now we have maybe a paragraph, and then we have the paragraphs of text on our pages broken up visually so that it's easier to scan the page and just go to the sections we're interested in. So we'll use bulleted lists, headings, subheadings, images, and artwork, perhaps illustrations or icons, to break up the paragraphs of our text on the page to make it really user-friendly to read. Let's see. We also want to put together, as we're going to plan, let's say we're getting ready to build our website, we want to prep the content for it. So we could choose images that we want to use. Maybe we have product images, or we have images of the team, or whatever it is that we want to place on the site. Maybe we need video. Maybe we need to go get professional photography, so we have good product images, or maybe we need videography. We need to figure out who's going to write the copy for the pages. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're hiring your web people to do that. And you might want illustrations or icons or stock photography. And these are all things you can get lined up so that they're ready. There is a great free stock photography website called pexels.com. So I list that here as a resource for you. It's on a donation basis, so you can make a donation if you like, or not if you don't want. You can download free stock photography there. Also, I reference here creativemarket.com. They have tons of images, icons, artwork, and illustration that you can use on your website. And they're quite inexpensive generally. Like you could get a set of, let's say, 100 or maybe even 1,000 different icons related to a particular theme, like business or food or something like that, probably for 20, 30 bucks, something like that, for license to use all those different pieces of artwork. So those are some great resources you can check out. Let's see here. So one thing about naming conventions, I just want to suggest that when you decide, you're going to be thinking about, am I doing e-com or not? And if so, what products am I going to include in my first batch? Let's say first set of products am I going to include in the website? You'll consider how those products are named, how the pages will be named, the pages of your site will be named. And then you can consider having some kind of file naming convention for your product images, for instance. So that could be, product name, SKU number, .jpeg or something like that, but just have some kind of format so it's easy for you or your web designer to be putting together your site. You know what image goes where, right, by those product names or image file names. You can also use your good keyword phrases for search engine optimization as image file names. Just that's an extra tip there. If you've identified good keyword phrases that you'd like your site to be found by, you can use them in your image file names, perhaps your non-product type images that you're using on your website. So here's an example of how you could plan, what you want your site architecture to be. And I included a little image here. So in this example, we'd have home, shop, about, frequently asked questions, and contact. So we have a button naming convention here, right? We have one word button names. So it's nice if your button names on the navigation are about the same length. So it does not look good if you have, one button name that's 4 words long and the rest are 1 word long, right? It can look a little wonky. So you might consider, either doing 2-word button names or 1-word button names or something like that. So your button names are roughly the same length, and that makes it look nice visually. Yeah. In this case, let's say if I was a painter and I had a little art website, I'm going to have these pages at the top level, right, going across. Those are on my main navigation. And when someone rolls over my shop button with the mouse, they're going to see my drop-down menu under shop, right? And if these are the themes that I paint about, let's say, and I thought these are just fun ones here. So if I paint angels and I have a collection of angel paintings and I have some for hearts, some for unicorns, and some for rainbows, then these are each a page that feature the paintings based on that theme. Yeah. And so these are all internal pages. They're second level pages, not on the main navigation, except for as a drop-down menu, not as a button themselves. So decide what each of your page names will be and which will be at the top level and which will be internal pages. And again, consider, how you want to name those pages. What is your naming convention? Sorry, I have a really sensitive mouse here. There we go. Okay, so here's the section of the PowerPoint that gives you some how-tos. And so we're going to go through each of these, but then we're going to go look at them live in Squarespace so you can see how it looks in the platform. And then you'll have these slides to refer back to with the how-to steps. So one of the common things that people are trying to do is either buy a domain name through Squarespace or transfer an existing domain name that you might own to Squarespace so that you can use it for your new Squarespace website. So you can have two different parties. In other words, you can have Squarespace be just your website host, or you can have them be your website host and also your domain registrar. Yeah, so those can be the same party, or they can be two separate parties. So if you want to make Squarespace also your domain registrar, then you can go to the dashboard and you can say, I want to buy a domain name through Squarespace. Usually those are about $20 a year. Or you can say, I own an existing domain name, perhaps through another domain registrar. Maybe I own some domains through Bluehost or GoDaddy, something like that. And I want to transfer a domain name. I want to keep the registrar separately, but I want to use that domain for my Squarespace site. Then you can do that by transferring your domain over to Squarespace and connecting it to your website once you make it. And by the way, that reminds me, when you sign on to Squarespace and you create a free trial account, I believe you have 30 days to go in and test drive it, right? Which is nice. You can go in and play with it, look at the different templates and see how it all works and so forth. And you don't have to pay for your hosting for the year until you get ready to publish your site or until that timeline expires, whichever comes first. Yeah. So if you decide to publish sooner, you'd have to pay at the time you publish your site. Or if your 30 days runs out, they'll ask you to pay maybe at that time. So, okay. Another task that we're going to perform straight away once we get a free trial, let's say in Squarespace, is we're going to choose a template for our website. We're going to look through the different industry types, the different categories, and we'll see what is the best fit for us. Yeah, and then which template within that group of templates that would be applicable for us do we want to choose. Then we have the opportunity to preview that template. And so we can see all the different styles of pages that are included in that one template. So I recommend, that you preview it first. And then there's another button which says start with, and then the name of the template. That means, yes, you're choosing that template to start building a site within. Yeah. So there's preview versus start with. When you say start with, that means you're ready to start building inside that template. So if you're still shopping, trying to decide which one you want, you would use the preview button to check it out. Let's see, another thing we're going to do here is look at how to build a page. Each template already has pages within it with a few different styles of pages. You can use those template pages, change the name of them, the content you can change out, and so on. We'll look at how to do that. You can review all the different types of layouts within your template and choose which type of layout that you want for each of the pages on your site. So there might be, let's say, a page laid out with just one image and one text block below, something like that. And you're like, oh, okay, that will work well for my about page. There might be another template with a contact us form on it, right? So that would be a good template for your contact page, of course. So you're kind of just looking to see, how do my page names match up with the different page layouts within this template? And which style of page would I like to use for each of the page names that I've identified? So once I've done that, I can rename my template pages to my actual page names. I can add pages if I want, because I might have multiple pages in my website that use the same page layout. I could do that. And then, of course, once I do that, I'm going to change out the content on the pages, like the images, text, let's say the button names, the colors, and so on. When I go to edit the page, here are the steps for that, right? So I'm going to click on the name of my page. And again, I'm going to show you this in a minute live here. Click on the page name, and then I would click edit, which is in the top left corner. And that lets me edit anything on that page. Then you have to select the block or section of the page that you want to edit. Or you can add a block if you want to add something to a page layout. And then you'll see when you select a section or a block, there's a little pencil icon that comes up when you roll over that block you've selected. And that is for editing. So if you click on the little pencil, that lets you edit that section. Also, just something else to note. There are global changes you can make to your site, and there are individual changes you can make to your site. So some things you can change at the global level. For instance, the color scheme for the whole site, you can change all at once. You could change the button styles or color for the whole site all at once, not button by button by button, if you like. And so where you make the global changes to your theme would be using the paintbrush, which is at the very top right. So when you see that little paintbrush, that's what takes you to the global site styles that make changes across the whole site all at once. Yeah, so just a good tool to know where that is. If you want to change your navigation, you can use the left navigation under website to include all the pages that you want to have in your main navigation. I'll show you that in a minute. So you can have pages that you built that are not public on your site right now, right? They're not linked, but you're just saving them. Or you can have pages which are public on your website and are either first level or second level and so on. And the pages are drag and drop in Squarespace, which is so nice, right? You can rearrange the order by dragging and dropping the page names. You can add and move them around. So it's nice to be able to do that. If you want to make internal pages, you can create a folder. Like in the case of the example I just showed you, I'd have a shop folder, and then my angels, hearts, unicorns, and so on. Those would be sub pages within that folder. Yeah, so that's how I create sub pages and also a drop-down menu on that button. I hope this is making sense to everybody. Is everybody tracking with me okay here? At least you'll have, you know, this exposure to this information, right? So you're getting some of the terms down and such, and then when we go into it, I'll show you where they all are. Again, we have search engine settings for the site as a whole, and we have search engine settings for each individual page. So to get to the global SEO settings for the website overall, we would go to our dashboard, then settings, which is at the very bottom, right? No one sees it. It's at the way at the bottom of the left navigation. And then you choose SEO appearance, and you can customize the site title and description. That is what appears in Google. If your site were to come up, there would be a site title, and then usually about a line and a half, let's say, of a description that for your site that would come up. You can tell it what you want to appear in that place when your site comes up. We also have SEO settings for each individual page, right, of our website. So we can say, oh, on this page, we talk about a certain thing. We might have certain page title and certain description that we use for that page that's relevant to just that page. So to do the SEO settings for the individual pages, to customize those, these are the steps, right? So it's literally step 1, step 2, step 3, 4, and 5 here. Yeah. So I'll show you where that is in just a minute. And then you'll have these slides to refer back to if you're going to do these steps. Here are the steps for setting up and connecting your merchant processing account, your credit card processing, to Squarespace. So you'd go to your dashboard, you choose selling and then payments, and then you're going to choose which platform you'd like, which one you want to use. And by the way, you need to have your merchant processing account set up prior. So if I was going to use Square as my merchant processor, I would set up my Square account first at square.com. And then I would come back into my Squarespace website, right, and take these steps to connect my Square account, merchant processing account, with my Squarespace website. Yeah, so it gets a little confusing for people with those common, with Square in both names, but Squarespace is our web hosting platform that we're talking about here today. And then Square is a separate company, merchant processor, right, who also offers web design now too. So that's why folks get confused. But Square has for a long time been, a great merchant processor, typically the best prices for, compared with a lot of other big players in the merchant processing space. So there you go. And then another common question I get is, how do I install the Facebook Pixel on my Squarespace website? Sometimes it's hard to find that. If you're running ads on Facebook or Insta to draw people over to your site, then you need to install the Facebook Pixel on your Squarespace website. So these are the steps for that. And you would have to first go into Facebook Ads Manager and create your pixel for your business, right? Each business has one pixel ID that you use for all your online properties. Anyway, if you're running ads on Facebook and Insta, it helps Facebook to track whether people are converting when they come over to your website. So if you say the conversion event I want to measure for is people buy something, right? Then when you put the pixel on your website, Facebook can see if someone comes over from your ad and buys something from your website. Yeah, so you can see what your return on ad spend is. How much return on investment do you have for your ad dollars that you spent? Yeah. So these are the steps for that. We'd go dashboard, settings, and then Metapixel, and then we'll add our pixel ID number. Our pixel ID number from Facebook is a 16-digit, big old long number. Yep, but that's your unique pixel ID for your business. So there's that bit that people are often looking for. And here is another little piece of gold, right? Squarespace has a live chat support, like help. So if you get stuck, you can't figure out how to do something that you're trying to do in your Squarespace website, you can use these links. Their Squarespace live chat is open from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time. So let's see, you're kind of in between these two time frames. So anyway, they have pretty good long hours, right? That you can access them, but they don't make this live chat support very easy to find, right? So I've included the link here, which takes you right to where that chat is. They don't really advertise it a lot. They want you to go to they have lots of great tutorial videos and frequently asked questions and such like that. They want you to use those first, but if you're still stuck, you can use this link to access live chat and get an actual person to help you. So great tool there. And also In case you're trying to get help, let's say if the live chat is closed right now, there is a support email form that you can go to this link. You can fill out the email form and they'll say, oh, what are you wanting help with? And so on. You fill out the form and send it. And that goes to the email support. So if you're ever needing help when the live chat hours aren't available, you could drop them an email line using this link. So again, they don't make it easy to find. So that's why I wanted to include it here for you so you have access to those. A few more things to think about, and then we're going to go over to the platform live. If you don't have a congruent brand yet, you might want to get your brand identity, your brand guidelines settled before you start building your site. That's a good prerequisite. That way you know your specific brand fonts, your specific brand colors, right? Many brands have either one or two main colors that they use in their branding, and maybe one or two accent or pop colors that they use sparingly that contrast with their main brand colors. You might also look at, what are the hero images that I want to use on my website? Those are the big images, usually, let's say on the home page or maybe on all the pages that are near the top. And the job of images, by the way, on the web is to make the emotional connection with people. So images with people in them perform better than images of just your product sitting there by itself. Also, images that are staged, right, where the product is being shown in context where it would be used, right, convert better than just the product sitting on the shelf by itself. So, and when we include people in our images, hopefully we're including people that look like our avatar or ideal client, right? So people see themselves in the image. And we want to show people experiencing the benefits of our product or service. That way people are making the connection with why they should buy, because they want this benefit that you offer. Yeah. Also, look to see, do I have enough call to action buttons throughout my site? Are my buttons big enough, bright enough? Do they have bold, all caps text on them? Yeah. So when you put your button names in, use bold, all caps text. And again, make sure that your button color is contrasting from the background and the text on the button is contrasting from the button itself. All those things make your button stand out more visually, right? And as such, it will convert better. More people will click it. If you include testimonials in your site, that can be really helpful, right? Or reviews, yeah. These factors help you increase conversions. And you may want to identify your top 20 or 30, we call them long tail keyword phrases. That just means a sequence of words in a particular order, the way people are actually typing in their searches, right? So if this is, you're building your site, you want to make sure that you can get some organic traffic that is, get found via search engines. Then you want to identify what are my top keyword phrases that I would like my site to be found by, so that you can use them throughout the site, right? And there's a whole separate class that we have on SEO if you want to dig into that. But the initial bit is just to identify those top keyword phrases and then use them throughout your site in your headings, in your image file names, in your copy, and as links on your website, maybe from one page to another page of your website. Yeah, those are good ways to use your keyword phrases. Okay, so hopefully through this conversation, you're making a little list here of what might be your personal next steps to take, given where you're starting from. You might be all starting at different places. Do you have a logo and a brand guidelines? That's a good prerequisite. you know, specific brand colors, specific brand fonts, and so on. Have you put together the assets for your site, like the copy for each page, the site architecture, as we talked about? You can do that exercise with the Post-it notes on the wall, right? Here's all my top level pages. Here's my internal pages. Do you have the photography or videography, product names, and product descriptions, right? Don't neglect descriptions, by the way, those are so important, yeah? They help you convert or not. You got to do some storytelling and assign meaning to your product or service in your product description. And of course, you got to figure out what is the pricing you want to use on your site for your product. Let's see. Okay, so we'll leave that there. We'll go over to the platform live. I'll stop sharing this. I'm going to go over to the browser. Okay, just a moment here. Okay. Here we go. Okay. You seeing my screen okay, Mandy?
Yep, we are. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so I've just logged into Squarespace here. This would be the first page that comes up after I log in. Yeah. And so I want to show you where some of these things are that we were just talking about. Yeah, we'll give you a little tour here. So this is my main dashboard. And right here on the main dashboard is domains. Yeah, so we're going to go over to domains. I don't have any here right now, but you can see here are the buttons for domains. So if I wanted to buy a domain or see if one is available, and I wanted to use Squarespace as my domain registrar, I can go right here to get a domain and purchase a domain and have Squarespace be my domain registrar. Like I said, those are usually about $20 a year. And I recommend that you get your company name, if you can, .com, and your best keyword phrase or two, .com, if you can, right? .com is best for search engine optimization. Also get the common misspellings of your domain name, right? So if people tend to misspell or your domain name, or it has a hyphen or anything like that, if there are common errors in how people might type in your domain name, then I'd recommend that you get those common misspellings as well. So if somebody does type it in that way, they still come over to you. You'll have one domain name that is your main domain name, but you can have other domains that also forward to that same site. If I had a domain that I owned already through another registrar, then I could go to transfer a domain and I can choose, I want Squarespace to be my new domain registrar and manage my domain here, so it's all in one place. Or I can say, I just want to utilize a domain that I already own for my Squarespace website. And perhaps I want to keep my old domain registrar. I can do that too. So that's where the domain name Site of Life is, right here at the very beginning. Now, if I want to, let's say, choose a template, then I could go in and say, create website. And Squarespace is going to ask me a few questions. What kind of site do I want? What kind of business do I have? Let's say I have art, since we're using that example. I'm going to click the art one and say next. And then I'm going to tell it, what kind of functions do I want my site to do? And I could, select whichever of these that is relevant for me and say next. And then it's going to show me a couple of templates that meet my criteria, right? If we wanted to look at one of these, here we go. So just show you this. So you can choose by these different criteria, the industry you're in, the type of site that you want, or the functions you want to have, right? You can check all the boxes, whatever's relevant for you. And then Squarespace is going to show you below here all the templates that it has that are already set up, let's say in my case, for art businesses, let's say. So I can come look at these different ones. I could build one from scratch, but there's so many great ones. Imagine most of the time wouldn't be any reason to try to build a separate one when there's all these great templates already built for you. So let's say I like this one with I like the image background. Maybe I'm planning to use an image background, let's say. And so I could say preview. And then I can look at the different page layouts within this site. I can also view the desktop or mobile version or tablet version of this website. So these are mobile responsive sites, meaning they'll adapt. They'll display one way on your desktop or laptop, another way on a tablet, and another way on your phone. They're adapting to the size and shape of the way the user is viewing them. So I'm going to say view demo site. I come over to the demo site. I'm looking at this site, as if it was already all built. You can see where the different pieces of text go, what are the elements of the page. And again, you can change out, all these different elements, but you can see there's a place for testimonials. There's a place for a couple of images. There's a call to action button right here on my first screen above the fold. We call it above the fold. That means in the first screen on the homepage before I scroll. If I don't scroll any, then I'm still above the fold. And you always want to have a good big call to action button right in that first screen above the fold. Yeah. If we want to see what the other page layouts look like within this template, we click on these other buttons. We can see, oh, okay. We have a page heading, an image, and so on. Here we go. There's the scrolling. We have a paragraph of text, and there's just some blank text in there holding it's a placeholder text. We can see the layout of the service page. Okay, we have 2 columns. We have several different paragraphs here. We have a footer and an invitation to book a consultation. So maybe that's the action we want people to take on this page, book a consultation. And we have a gallery, let's say, to show our artwork, whatever kind of artwork we're doing. We could paste our images of our work here. And again, if the main thing is we want people to book a consultation, maybe for commission or custom piece of art, then we have a page here with those options. Okay. So we'll go back out. That's how you can choose a template. If I wanted to start then, and I was like, yep, I like this design, I want to use it, then I would say start with this design right here. But we're going to go back out to the front end here. Okay. So if I had already chosen a template, which I did in this case, I would go to my existing template now and hit website. And you can see now I'm actually, one level deeper in Squarespace. I can see my template and I can make changes to it. So if I wanted to go inside the site and look at the different pages and make changes to them, I click on website, and then I can see my list of pages here, right? Remember, I have home and shop at the top level, and also about, frequently asked questions, and contact. And then my internal pages on the little drop-down menu under shop are right here. These are my themes for my paintings. Yeah. And then down here under not linked, you can see there's a couple other page templates that I'm just not using right now. So I saved the templates in case I want to use them later, but they're not actually pages that are linked to from within my site. They're not on my main navigation or anywhere else on the website. If I wanted to change the order of these buttons on my navigation here, see, there's my drop-down menu. If I wanted to change the order here, I could drag and drop these pages and change where they appear. Yeah. But as it is, I want my most important buttons that I want people to click on to be leftmost on this kind of horizontal navigation bar. So I do want my shop button to be the first one. So it's placed correctly here. And then I have my others that are, not as important to me. If I wanted to edit this page, I would come up here to the edit button and click that. That's going to take me into the page itself, and then I can edit the different sections of the page. Let's say if I want to edit this headline text right here, I click on this box, and here's the pencil, which will let me edit this text. So I'm going to say new changes here. Right? I could type something new in there. And Squarespace, by the way, is going to automatically save my changes as I make them, or within this page as I'm going to different sections. But then when I'm done making all the edits to this page, I'm going to hit save right here to save the changes I just made. So I can go to different sections of the page, make different changes, but then ultimately I'm going to save my changes that I made to the whole page before I leave the page. Okay, I'm going to exit out of this page now. If I wanted to add a page, let's say I decided to add a media or press page, which is a great idea to have, by the way. I would come up here and I would click the plus sign to add my page. And then it gives me options here, and I can tell it what kind of page do I want to add. Is it a blog post page, a portfolio page, a scheduling page, and so on. So I can choose which type of page I want to add. Let's say for my media page, I'm going to choose page layout, and I'll maybe choose one like that. Oops, there we go. And see, it came up here with the new page, and it wants me to give it a name. So I'm going to call that media. And I'm going to have that one come down. It's going to be one of these last few pages, not the first one. As you see, by dragging and dropping, I can change the order of my pages on the navigation here. So I added my media page. See how it's appearing right there? And then if I wanted to edit what goes on the media page, I'm going to come back in here where we just were. Okay, so that's domains, choosing a template, building or adding a page, and then editing a page. And we looked at how to change the navigation here, just with dragging and dropping these different pages in the order we want. So a couple more things, and then we'll get to questions here. The SEO for the site itself. Remember I said there's settings, but it's kind of way down here. It's kind of a little bit hidden. This is the settings button that we're going to use for a few different things. Inside the settings is where we can do our global SEO for the whole website, and where we can do our Facebook pixel installation. So I'm going to, from this main menu here, I'm going to come down to the bottom to settings. And you can see it brings up this whole menu here. One of them is SEO appearance. If I wanted to adjust the title of my site and the description that appears in Google when my site comes up, I would put those in here under SEO appearance. If I wanted to install my Facebook pixel, here's my setting for that right underneath SEO appearance. So I'd click on Meta Pixel and Ads. And I would take that 16-digit Facebook Pixel ID number and paste it right here. Now, let's say I want to set up my merchant processing, connect my merchant processing. We talked about that one. Let's see. We want to go back out of here. We're going to close out of there. See if it'll let us go back. Here we go. Okay. So let's say we want to set up our merchant processing. We're going to go under selling right here on our main navigation. And after we hit selling, it's going to give us an option for payments, add a way to get paid. So this is, once we click there on payments, we can choose which merchant processor we want to use. If we had already set up our Square account, we would just hit connect right here. And we connect our Square account with our Squarespace shop so that now we could do e-com. We can have e-commerce transactions if we had added some products here onto our website. Okay. And then you'll already have the links now from the slides for the help and the live chat help, and also the email support help from Squarespace. So if you get stuck, you have a way out there. All right. So let's go to some questions.
Hi, Liz. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, but just out of curiosity, how do you suggest the best way to identify some of those long tail keyword phrases that you mentioned?
Okay. Great question. How I recommend that you do that, you can certainly hire an SEO professional, right? But if you're not in a position to do that yet, there's an easy way to do a first cut, free assessment, right, of what would be your best long tail keyword phrases for you to optimize for. So you would use Google and also YouTube to search by whatever keyword phrases you think you'd like to be found by. And the ticket is to type slowly, right? So you start typing in, let's say, a keyword phrase you think you'd like to be found by. And as you start to type it in, Google or YouTube, either one, right? Both of them do this, will show you how people are actually typing in related searches. So it's going to show you the top 10 related searches. And so you can see the actual way people are typing in related searches. And from that, you could I usually recommend like a top 100 list of your best keyword phrases that you might like to be found by. And Google and YouTube are then telling you, here's the way people are actually typing them in. Yeah. And so you can look at those keyword phrases and say, oh, some of these are relevant. I would want to be found by them. Other ones that it pulls up, you might be like, oh no, that's not really someone who's looking for my kind of product or service when they type it in that way, right? So if you make your top 100 list by using Google and YouTube that way, then you would narrow it down, right, and choose your top 20 or 30 highest priority keyword phrases. And those are the ones that you're going to use in your copy on your website, in your headings on your website, in your image file names on your website. You might also use those good top 20 or 30 keyword phrases as YouTube video titles, as blog post titles, as hashtags, as email subject lines, right? So you are repurposing those keyword phrases all over the place, right, in the interest of boosting your SEO. Thank
Perfect.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. And then one final question. When we were talking about the domain names and you suggested getting those additional domain names as well, such as the misspellings, do you pay for those also?
Do you pay also for the common misspelling ones?
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Any domain that you want to buy, of course, you have to pay for that. And like I said, I believe on Squarespace, there may be $20 a year for those different domain names. So consider which are important to you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Liz, for being here with us today. And then I also wanted to briefly introduce Audie Cunningham from the Wyoming SBDC as well.
Great, thanks, Mandy. Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to jump on today and talk a little bit about the services available to you through the SBDC. I know Liz already mentioned a little bit about us and some of the services we provide. The Wyoming SBDC network is a University of Wyoming program, and it's available to all residents in the state. And we're funded by the Wyoming Business Council and the U.S. Small Business Administration. We provide no-cost confidential advising and technical assistance to all Wyoming entrepreneurs and small business owners. And each SBDC advisor has an area of expertise. Mine happens to be marketing and social media. And I help businesses across the state to write marketing plans, create social media strategies, and work on their online presence. I also work with businesses who need help with developing a website or working on their e-commerce or branding. Wyoming SBDC network advisors are located throughout the entire state. They not only help new businesses get started, but also help current owners with growth, reinvention, exiting, and recovering from challenges in their business. So if you'd like to get in touch with an SBDC advisor, please visit our website at wyomingsbdc.org. You can also reach out to me directly. I'll put my contact info in the chat. And again, thank you for attending today. And we look forward to hearing from you if you're interested in receiving SBDC advising services now or in the future.
Perfect. Thank you. And also, we will be having a year-end tax planning webinar on November 30th at 11 o'clock. So tax season is upon us, and there are some questions that come up every year. So make sure you attend that. We will have a certified public accountant, Derek Campbell, hosting that webinar as well. So November 30th at 11 o'clock, check out wyomingcommunitynavigator.org in order to sign up for that. Otherwise, everyone have a wonderful Friday. We made it through another week, and we are so excited for the weekend. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Audie. And thank you, everyone, for joining us.